Breaking news tonight, now officially a hurricane and growing. Several possible tracks, North Carolina up to New Jersey, New York straight to Boston, all bracing for a possible hit. It could grow to a Category 3 hurricane. The secret meeting, we now learn the county clerk who refused marriage licenses to gays was invited to a secret meeting with Pope Francis. What did he say? American warplanes suddenly put on notice, given only a 1-hour warning about the airspace as Russia unleashes strikes over Syria. Martha Raddatz standing by tonight. The manhunt in this country, the convicted killer set free by accident. He's been on the run for 5 days now. And the alarming headline about taking calcium. Are the side effects worse than the help? Dr. Besser says women and men should take note tonight.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and we begin here with Hurricane Joaquin tonight. Much of the East Coast this evening bracing for a potential direct hit as this hurricane continues to strengthen. From the Carolinas all the way up to New York City, and take a look at the new track tonight, just issued by the National Hurricane Center. 85-mile-an-hour winds. It could reach Category 3 strength. Right now, landfall this weekend, that cone from Wilmington there all the way up to New York. A state of emergency already declared in Virginia, the satellite imagery there. And it comes after a dangerous 24 hours already. The other powerful storm from Frederick, Maryland to Chelsea, Massachusetts. Drivers there facing treacherous commutes. We begin here tonight with ABC's Gio Benitez and the damage already as many now prepare for the hurricane next.
Tonight, parts of the Northeast underwater.
About 30, 35 on the highway. That's it.
Portland, Maine, getting hammered.
In Portland, Maine, roads looking more like rivers.
This is where I work.
This airport parking garage completely flooded. Perhaps most frightening, this daycare. 23 kids, age 4 or younger, inside when water came rushing in from the drains.
In a matter of 10 minutes, we were completely underwater with a couple of inches.
The children quickly moved upstairs, all safe tonight. In Massachusetts, this woman carried from her car to the back of this waiting pickup truck.
Oh my God.
It's been a hellish 24 hours up and down the East Coast. In Frederick, Maryland, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water are being pumped out of the YMCA.
It could be days and weeks before we're back up and running at 100%.
Virginia's governor already declaring a state of emergency. Meanwhile, just as the Jersey Shore is getting back to normal, a coastal flood watch issued. The threat of Hurricane Joaquin churning in the Caribbean. Since Sandy, homeowners have been raising their homes, hoping to avoid any future flooding.
It's not cheap.
Any hurricane threat here causes people to worry.
Sandy was so traumatic for this community.
Well, yeah, that's the problem. You know, when you go through something like that, you know, it's like the kid who touches the stove. It's hot. You don't want to ever touch it again.
And David, take a look at this. We are right next to the iconic Seaside Heights boardwalk destroyed during Sandy. Well, they are already taking precautions here, building this giant wall of sand to block all that water from coming across. David?
Gio Benitez leading us off. Gio, thank you. Let's get right to meteorologist Rob Marciano, who has this new track tonight. Rob.
David, before this thing even makes a move to the U.S., it's going to sit over some very warm waters and strengthen the next 36 hours over the Bahamas, battering those islands. Big surf, big rain. Look at it sit there. And then it makes a move north. And as it does so, it's going to move over some warm waters with record temperatures at the moment. So we expect it to strengthen to Category 3 status, stay that way through Saturday, then weakening a bit as it heads north and landfall anywhere in the Carolinas late Saturday or as far north as Long Island into Monday. Big margin of error with any storm that parallels the coast like this. Here are the computer models. More of them going towards the west. Still uncertainty there, but as far as tonight goes, right now we're pretty confident it's going to make a U.S. strike.
From Wilmington to New York, the most likely, though?
Big piece of real estate there.
All right, Rob, thank you. We're going to turn now to that secret meeting tonight, Pope Francis and that controversial county clerk. We've now learned before leaving the U.S., the Pope met with Kim Davis, the clerk sent to jail for refusing to issue marriage licenses to gay couples. She says the Pope giving her these rosaries, thanking her for her courage. Tonight, the exclusive interview describing that meeting with the Pope, and here's ABC's Paula Ferris.
Today, so many questions about what happened behind those doors in Washington. That secret meeting with controversial Kentucky clerk Kim Davis.
It was really very humbling to even think that he would want to, meet me or know me.
Davis, such a divisive figure, an elected official who went to jail after refusing to issue marriage licenses to gay couples when the Supreme Court made marriage a right nationwide.
Under whose authority are you not issuing licenses?
Davis herself married 4 times. I recently asked her if her right to religious freedom trumps another person's legal right to wed.
For me, it's a heaven or hell issue. I feel if I issue a license, you feel you would go to hell? I would be participating in that act.
But Francis has reached out to gays and lesbians more than any other pope.
Si una persona es gay,
if someone is gay and he searches for the Lord and has goodwill, who am I to judge, he said. Still, Davis, who is not Catholic, says the Pope told her to stay strong.
I put my hand out, and he reached and he grabbed it, and I hugged him, and he hugged me, and he said, "Thank you for your courage."
On the plane back to Rome, ABC's Terry Moran asked the Pope whether he supports government officials who say they cannot follow some laws because of their religious beliefs.
Do you support those kinds of claims of religious liberty?
ma sì posso dire
without mentioning Davis, the Pope defending conscientious objectors.
È un diritto umano.
Saying it is a human right, and if a government official is a human person, he has that right. From the Vatican spokesman tonight, this one-line statement: I do not deny that the meeting took place, but I will not comment on it further.
Paul is with us now. A lot of opinions on this meeting, and you've been in touch with Kim Davis and her lawyers. They contend that this meeting with Pope Francis was planned before his trip to America?
Yes, it was, and they were asked to keep it under wraps. Her lawyer says it's because the Pope didn't want this secret meeting, David, to overshadow his trip here in the U.S.
All right, Paula Ferris tonight. Paula, thank you. And we reported last night here the Pope asking for mercy for a mother on death row in Georgia. Seen there with one of her children, they were pleading for her life as well. The parole board deciding to move forward with the execution last night. Kelly Gisendonner, who studied theology behind bars, singing Amazing Grace in her final moments. To other news tonight, the Secret Service under fire this evening. A new government report claiming an assistant director with the Secret Service encouraged colleagues to leak unflattering details about the Republican leading the investigation into misconduct by the Secret Service. At least 45 Secret Service agents said to have accessed an old job application of Representative Jason Chaffetz when he applied to join the agency. Overseas tonight, and to the breaking developments out of Syria now, Russia giving U.S. authorities just a 1-hour warning before launching airstrikes, they say targeting ISIS in Syria. It comes after that meeting between President Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin, and yet the strikes still came suddenly with little warning. ABC's Chief Global Affairs correspondent Martha Raddatz tonight.
Today, the deadly roar of Russian air power. Images posted by Syrian activists showing the sudden dramatic escalation in Russia's involvement. Fear in the streets, chaos in the hospitals. The Russians say the targets were ISIS fighters and command posts. But this is where the bombs hit, just outside of Homs. There are no ISIS fighters here.
It does appear that they were in areas where there probably were not ISIL forces, and that is precisely one of the problems with this whole approach.
The target the Russians more likely were going after, opposition forces, some backed by the U.S., here seen with an advanced TOW missile, who are fighting against Syria's brutal dictator and America's enemy, Bashar al-Assad. The other concern, Russia gave the U.S. only a 1-hour warning about the airstrikes, putting U.S. pilots flying strike missions there in greater danger.
Putting lots of different airplanes in the same airspace creates the potential for collision.
So let's bring in Martha Raddatz tonight. And Martha, wasn't there talk that the Russians and the U.S. would be meeting about this airspace and instead just a 1-hour warning?
Exactly, David. Once the Russians started moving warplanes into Syria, the U.S. and Russia were set to have talks about keeping the airplanes separated, but the Russians didn't wait. Although the defense secretary said today those talks are now on track to happen within the next few days, David.
All right. Martha Raddatz with us tonight. Martha, thank you. Now to the race for 2016 and a major new development involving Hillary Clinton late today. 6,000 new pages, emails from her private server released. Also new tonight, what was said about the committee investigating Benghazi. Now investigating longer than the Watergate scandal. You're about to hear what the man many believe could be the next Speaker of the House said about what that committee has now accomplished and Hillary Clinton's fiery response. And she's not the only one talking tonight. Former President Bill Clinton back in the game as well. ABC's Cecilia Vega on the campaign trail.
Tonight, more than 6,000 new emails from Hillary Clinton's private account made public. But now hundreds of those emails stored on her home server when she was Secretary of State deemed so sensitive they've been marked classified. The House committee that brought the email controversy to light back in the spotlight once again. The Republican congressman hoping to replace Speaker John Boehner, suggesting on Fox News that the bipartisan investigation into Benghazi is behind Clinton's sagging poll numbers.
Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened had we not fought and made that happen.
Good. I give you credit for that.
Hillary Clinton firing back today on MSNBC.
When I hear a statement like that, which demonstrates unequivocally that this was always meant to be a partisan political exercise, I feel like it does a grave disservice.
But now her secret weapon, former President Bill Clinton, taking on a new, more public role in her campaign, and on CNN defending how she's handling the email controversy.
I think she looks great. I think she did a great job. And I think she's been doing a good job answering these questions now.
Yeah, Bill Clinton out of the shadows and center stage. He will be fundraising for his wife this week. And he's not just raising money. He took on Donald Trump in those public comments too. David, this is the first time we are seeing him this campaign so out front.
And the first time he emailed asking for money, too. All right, Cecilia, thank you. Now to the Republican side tonight. Many candidates in New Hampshire this evening. Donald Trump, Dr. Ben Carson, neck and neck in the polls. Carly Fiorina and Marco Rubio right behind. And perhaps a new strategy from Trump. Kinder, gentler, amid new images from inside his home. ABC's Tom Yamas also on the campaign tonight.
Donald Trump now working to change a big part of his campaign, his temperament. Asked by Fox News if he has to be more mature to win the nomination.
Is that a fair question?
Well, I think it's fair. I think the word mature is not appropriate, but I think it's certainly fair.
Trump now trying to show his softer side, posing for People magazine with his wife Melania and youngest son Barron. But old habits die hard, and this morning, Trump again unleashing on Senator Marco Rubio, tweeting Rubio is totally owned by the lobbyist and special interests, lazy. Tonight, Trump returning to New Hampshire, two of his rivals already here.
Hey, Governor, how are you?
Jeb Bush, once considered the man to beat, now stuck in 5th place.
Some donors have talked to us over at ABC News, and they've expressed some concerns over where your campaign is right now.
I think as you get closer to the election, it's not about the loud voices on the stage. It's about leadership.
But Bush also losing to the low-key Dr. Ben Carson, whose unorthodox style has catapulted him to the top of the polls. Dr. Carson, like Trump, an unconventional candidate. Listen to his response when I asked him about what is now a hurricane pushing through the Atlantic.
If you were actually in the White House, what would be your first step?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you. David, I asked Jeb Bush that same exact question, and he gave me a detailed answer of how he would handle the storm. Bush led Florida through 9 hurricanes. Bush tells me he's going to win New Hampshire, but it's not going to be easy. Here at the Trump event, they're expecting 3,000 people. Bush has yet to see crowds that size. David?
Tom Yamas in New Hampshire for us. Tom, thanks. And we do move on tonight into a manhunt underway in Louisiana at this hour. A convicted killer released from prison by accident. The mistake only discovered days after he walked free. And here's ABC's Clayton Sandell now.
Convicted killer Ben Jewel Johnson didn't escape prison. He was let go. Mistakenly released Saturday by a Louisiana state prison official who apparently never double-checked to see that Johnson was supposed to be serving time for manslaughter.
It was an oversight on the staff, but it's something that should have been caught.
Johnson was serving 35 years for shooting and killing Cordice Gales in 2010.
How could he be out?
He did use a weapon and kill someone, so he is a high priority to get him.
It's not clear how many inmates get released by mistake, but it happens. These 2 Florida inmates serving life for murder faked a judge's signature in 2013 and were released, captured 3 weeks later. And just days ago, another Louisiana inmate facing murder charges was captured in California after a paperwork mix-up allowed him to go free. And David, tonight we're told that prison official who made the mistake feels terrible, but it's still not clear what her punishment will be. David?
Clayton, thank you. We turn now to your health tonight and that medical headline we first reported on last night here about calcium supplements. A new medical review of women over 50 finds taking daily calcium supplements does little to strengthen bones and might even be harmful, and that the supplements can actually increase the risk of heart attacks, kidney stones, and abdominal pain. So let's get right to Dr. Richard Besser. I got so many tweets after the news last night. You got them all day today. First, let's start with a viewer question about the side effects. Do they concern you, and would you tell a patient to stop taking the supplements?
Well, you know, if your doctor told you to take this, I would check in before you stop. But if you're taking it on your own, it's important to remember that some of these side effects are very serious, and there doesn't seem to be much benefit.
The other question that came from a viewer, and this was asked often, what should women do to ensure they're getting adequate calcium? And you say this pertains to men as well.
That's right. You want to eat a diet that's rich in calcium. And just as importantly, you need to do exercises that build strong bones. So lifting weights, and then anything that gets you up on your feet. So walking, jogging, running, dancing, all of these can help.
So more than weights, just moving.
Exactly.
All right, Dr. Besser, thank you. Next tonight here, your money and the new report out tonight revealing $30 million worth of suspicious ambulance rides. No proof that patients actually received any medical services at all. And those rides were paid for by American taxpayers. ABC's David Curley reports it's your money.
Medicare pays for the ambulance rides for patients to see their doctors if there's a medical need, say they can't walk. But look at this undercover video, a patient climbing into an ambulance. Or this, a stop so a patient can get takeout food. And tonight, investigators found more.
We suspect also that some ambulance providers are billing when they're not actually giving rides.
That's why you call them mystery rides.
It's because we call them mystery rides. We don't even know if they actually happened.
Those same investigators dug into just the first 6 months of records in 2012 and found $30 million billed for ambulances, and no record that the patient actually saw a doctor. Another $24 million paid out for patients who didn't qualify for an ambulance ride. We rode with special agents in Philadelphia late last year who are trying to put ambulance company owners and even some patients in prison. But Philly, Houston are still trouble spots, and investigators now say Los Angeles and New York should be added to that list.
Medicare tells us tonight it is committed to cutting, even eliminating, waste, fraud, and abuse in the ambulance program, and says it has put in place several initiatives to do just that.
To the index tonight, the online price wars heating up. Beginning tomorrow, Target will be matching the lowest online prices offered by 29 rival stores. Target trying to get a jump on the holiday shopping season. Customers will have a 2-week window when they see a price elsewhere to now get it matched at Target online. Well, first, the airlines, now Amtrak, announcing they will now charge for excess baggage. Passengers allowed 2 personal items and 2 carry-ons. Amtrak announcing they'll now charge $20 for each item over those restrictions. And Caitlyn Jenner tonight, prosecutors saying they will not charge her in that deadly car crash in Malibu earlier this year. Prosecutors now citing insufficient evidence. Finally, an explanation from the guy in the front row at Yankee Stadium, now seen by so many. Here's David Wright.
Hard to pity the man with the perfect seats, front row on the third base line at Yankee Stadium for the Red Sox game. But somebody get this guy a glove. Pop fly right over his head, and he whiffs it. Then a grounder straight at him.
Rough day for this young fan.
Bill Buckner. Finally, the third base coach tosses him a gimme. His girlfriend hangs her head in shame.
He's never, ever going to get a date with her again. Bye-bye.
His name is Will Smith, a mild-mannered designer at a New York architecture firm. We reached him by phone today. He told us his workmates ribbed him all day. He told Esquire maybe it was the half-dozen beers he had, but in any case, I'll probably never sit that close at a Yankees game again. Next time, look for Butterfingers out in the bleachers, because 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. David Wright, ABC News, New York.
The beers, that'll do it. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Good night.
ABC News, America's #1 news source.